Thank you for tuning in this week to part 2 of our Feathered Fridays featuring white-winged dove in Texas. My name is Clint Faas with Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. When we left off last time, we were talking about birds or white-winged dove in our urban environments. In this cell phone video, you can see these birds coming back in from their evening feeding. They're coming back into town to roost, to hang out for the night before they go out back in the morning and feed again. So when we think about these areas, these towns that these birds are using, they don't have the normal habitat components that you would find down in South Texas or where the birds were originally from, but instead there's things that are present that these birds can use, and they've adapted over time to be able to use these more urban environments. Here you can see birds feeding at a backyard bird feeder. When we're thinking about banding, we use this congregation of birds to our advantage, and we begin to pre-bait 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time. We don't necessarily use a feeder like you see here, but I wanted to show kind of how these birds interact and how they do congregate around these feed sites in these towns, in these urban environments, or in somebody's backyard. So when we do pre-bait, we find a spot maybe on somebody's driveway, it may be in their backyard, any number of sites that we can use, but we pre-bait them ahead of time. When it's time to trap, we set the traps out and we put down black oil sunflowers or some sort of large seed that these white wings will key in on. If you're trapping mourning dove, you may use a smaller seed. It may be a grain sorghum or something like that. When we have the trap set, we actively monitor them. You can see a squirrel in this video. We want to make sure that nothing gets in the traps or gets on the traps to disturb these birds. Once we actually have them caught, we want to get up there as quickly as possible. We throw a sheet over the trap like you see on the far left to keep these birds as calm as we can. We don't want to stress them out any more than we have to. We put them in this orange crate, and that crate allows us to work these birds up and keep them calm and keep them covered. So I have a little video here to show the banding process. Right now I'm just getting a band out. I'm getting the band ready. When we get the bands, they come to us on a string. They're in numerical order, and we just have to separate them off of that string so we can then put them on the bird with our banding pliers. You can see I just put the band in the pliers, and I'm about to grab a bird out. The bird that I grabbed first is actually a banded bird, so I'm going to put it back in and grab another one for the video. But these banded birds that we catch, if they were caught a previous year, they provide really good data for us. This bird was actually banded in 2014, and I've caught him now for 2 years in a row. Him or her. It's hard to tell the difference between, or almost impossible to tell the difference between male and female white-winged dove on the wing. So what I'm doing now is I'm looking at the molt pattern on the wing. So we count the primary feathers. We count down from 10 to 1, starting at the outside end. You can see in this picture that 1, 2, and 3 are short, so we record this as a number 3. What that tells us, if it's a hatchier bird, they molt in a predictable pattern, so we can get some idea of when the hatch took place and when that bird was hatched in any given year. The other thing that we record is whether or not it was a hatchier bird, which you see on the left. So that was a bird that was born this year, or an after hatchier bird like you see on the right. That bird is a larger bird. You can see that it's got that bright blue ring around its eyes. And so I'm going to flip the bird over to get ready to band it. You can see that I'm just as gently as I can holding the bird. I don't want to hurt it in any way. I don't want to cause it any stress, so we can release it unharmed. So I go ahead and crimp the band on. I'm going to double check my band number to what I wrote down on my form. We want to make sure that we know what's going out and what bird has which band. You can see that the bands are just gently crimped on. The ends of them butt up, and so they're loose on the bird. They move around. They don't pinch anything. They don't impede anything. We want to make sure that it doesn't snag on anything. This is another video I wanted to show that just shows a process from start to finish with no interruptions. You can see I'm counting the molt pattern again. I'm going to record it along with the fact that this is a after hatchier bird. My band is already in my pliers, so I'm already ready to go there. When I squeeze the band on, you'll see me twist it around a little bit. I'm not twisting the leg, I'm just moving the band. I want to make sure that it's crimped in a perfect circle, and that, again, there's nothing that can snag on anything that would injure the bird. I'm going to double check my data, and then I'm going to release the bird. If you've ever heard a white wing or any other dove when they fly, you hear that their wings kind of slap together on top, right there. That's what makes that noise when you hear a bird flying off, is their wings are actually hitting together, making that tick, tick, tick sound. So once we release them, they're on their way. The only way we get that data back is with the help of hunters or with anybody else who happens to find a dead bird. If you do find a banded dove, or you harvest one when you're out hunting, please go to www.reportban.gov. Again, that's the only way that we're able to get that information back. So please report that to us, and thank you for tuning into this week's Feathered Friday. Take care.